Everyone, hello and welcome in. Thank you for joining me for episode 2 of Beyond Vikings, a series here on my channel where I get to talk about trending topics around the NFL beyond the scope of the Minnesota Vikings football team. If you missed episode 1, click through to the channel, go to the Beyond Vikings playlist. You'll be able to watch episode 1 where I talk about how the crackdown on taunting is ruining the sport of football, so be sure to check out that video after you watch this one. Hey, for our second topic for Beyond Vikings, we're going to be talking about Aaron Rodgers. What? We're not doing that? Okay, good. So the topic for episode 2 today is going to be none other than the messy divorce that we were able to witness live and happen in real time today on social media between the Cleveland Browns and Odell Beckham Jr., star wide receiver. So according to Adam Schefter, it has been made official. The Cleveland Browns today announced that they will be releasing Odell Beckham Jr. after they were unable to meet his demands for a trade this season and both last season, according to his camp. So he will be released today. He is no longer a member of the Cleveland Browns, and he will be able to be claimed off waivers on Tuesday by 4 p.m. It was a whole messy process. They had to figure out how to do it financially. He's still got a lot of years, a lot of money left on his contract. So what they have done is that they have slashed the final 2 years on his contract. Teams will still need a lot of salary cap space in order to claim him, but this effectively gets him off the Cleveland Browns books and out of their locker room where they are trying to maintain the culture that Kevin Stefanski has built since he was hired. Now, I, of course, broadcast out of the dual market of the Cleveland Browns and Pittsburgh Steelers here in Youngstown, Ohio. And I can tell you that when Odell Beckham Jr. was signed as a free agent of the Cleveland Browns years ago, there was some celebration to be had by Browns fans here and around the state. And I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the Browns have been star-starved. You know, they haven't had anybody in the national spotlight for good reasons for a long time since coming back into the league in 1999. And this was the opportunity for them to get on the national stage and maybe even be taken seriously for once. However, it didn't happen. Fans are already calling it a failed experiment. He just wasn't himself with the Cleveland Browns, spent a lot of time on the injured list, and just didn't put up the same kind of performances that we saw out of him as a member of the New York Giants. Ultimately, I can't really give you a good analytical reason why it didn't work out for the Cleveland Browns and Odell Beckham Jr. I recommend going to Twitter and following Seth Galina. You will probably be able to learn some valuable lessons from some of the film study that he has posted there about Odell Beckham Jr. today. So that leads us to the question, who should claim Odell Beckham Jr. and is anybody going to claim Odell Beckham Jr.? So right after the news broke, we kind of had some fun on social media because right now the Detroit Lions have the top waiver claim in the league because they are the last remaining undefeated team. They have no wins, so they have top waiver priority for anybody that is going to get cut. Unintentionally adding fuel to the conspiracy fire, the Detroit Lions today announced that they are parting ways with Tyrell Williams, who has been on the injured list since the beginning of the season, a wide receiver who was signed in the offseason, likely to take over wide receiver 1 duties, but it just didn't work out this year. They have reached an injury settlement agreement, and Tyrell Williams is no longer a member of the Detroit Lions. And quite frankly, it would make sense for the Detroit Lions to go after Odell Beckham Jr. They did pursue, potential trades for wide receivers during the season before the trade deadline. They don't have many quality pass catchers left due to injury, whatever the case may be. So it would make sense for the Detroit Lions to go after him just based on the fact that they need bodies at the position. Unfortunately, though, the Detroit Lions are not going to be in the market to claim Odell Beckham Jr. because they are in the bottom half of the league when it comes to available salary cap space. According to Adam Schefter, teams that are going to claim him will need a total of $7.25 million in cap space in order to onboard the remaining portion of Odell Beckham Jr.'s contract, and there just isn't that many teams left in the league that are going to be able to do that. You see the teams listed there in his tweet on the screen, so not a lot of suitors ahead for Odell Beckham Jr. at the beginning of next week. It doesn't make much sense for a bad team to sign him if they are hoping to trade him at the end of the year and sort of get some draft capital for free, if you will. So a 9-week rental for Odell Beckham Jr., given the fact that the Browns eliminated the final 2 years of his contract, make it impossible for a team to claim him off waivers and trade him this offseason in hope of getting something in return. It looks like they worked out a way so that Odell Beckham will reach free agency at the end of this season, regardless of what happens today or this week. So out of the teams that are able to sign him with the salary cap space, it doesn't really make much sense for any of them. You could make a legitimate argument for the Jacksonville Jaguars. They lost DJ Chark for the season. They don't have a lot in terms of pass catchers to help develop Trevor Lawrence, but it's a team that's going nowhere, and I don't really see the point. Kind of makes sense for the Philadelphia Eagles. Jalen Reagor is not that guy. They could use more pass catchers for the development of Jalen Hurts. Collectively, Broncos, I don't see them doing it. Seahawks, I don't see them doing it. They already have 2 really good receivers, and it's a team that wants to run the ball a whole lot. He would probably be still miserable there in Seattle. The Panthers, I don't see that happening. They're in the middle of a disaster at the quarterback position, so Odell Beckham Jr. would definitely not be happy there. The Pittsburgh Steelers kind of makes sense because they lost Juju Smith-Schuster, but then again, they have Deontay Johnson. They have Chase Claypool. It would be very interesting and probably hilarious to see him go to a division rival. I don't see the Cincinnati Bengals interested in this. They have pretty good depth at wide receiver with Tyler Boyd, T. Higgins, and the potential rookie of the year in Jamar Chase. And then for the Washington football team, my guess is, given the recent developments around their organization, they're going to do as little as possible to draw any sort of attention to themselves for the rest of this year and probably forever. So here we are at the end of the video. I think I'm going to predict that a team is, there's not going to be a team that's going to claim Odell Beckham Jr. The Vikings can't due to their salary cap situation. They only have about $5 million, and it would be pointless for them to do it anyway. So for the remaining teams on the list, it makes sense for some of the worst teams in the league, like the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe the Eagles do it just for fun, and they're not really a team that shies away from signing wide receivers or acquiring wide receivers that drum up internet drama, i.e. Terrell Owens years and years and years ago. In conclusion for this video, I'm going to predict that Odell Beckham Jr. will clear waivers by Tuesday, 4 p.m., and he will be a free agent earlier than he thought. All right, that's going to do it for me for this video. Thank you for joining me for Beyond Vikings Episode 2. Don't forget to click through the channel, subscribe, check out the playlist, and stay with me for more Vikings content. Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one.